and welcome to The Bottom Line on TVP World, where we bring you the best of the main business and economic stories of the day. I'm your host, Don Arleth, in for Marie Cato. The European Commission's Innovation Scoreboard for 2025 has been released. Nordic countries took 3 of the top 4 spots, and Poland, well, not so good. It came in 5th from last. So how could this be that for the past 5 years, Poland has made virtually no progress on becoming more innovative? Let's start with this report by Jan Kennedy.
From high-tech robots to everyday solutions, innovation is what drives modern economies. But if you look at the European Innovation Scoreboard, a ranking compiled every year by the European Commission, innovation is not a key engine of growth in CEE economies. Nordic countries secured 3 out of the top 4 spots in the Innovation Leaders category, followed by 7 strong innovators and 10 moderate innovators. Poland ranked 23rd, placing behind Hungary in the lowest tier, emerging innovators. And that's a problem, because economists think that current drivers of Polish growth, like cheap labour, are losing steam, and innovations should take their place.
Innovation is crucial for the economy. It determines what kinds of goods and services we can create and sell.
So the question is, why does Poland find itself at the bottom of Europe's innovation ranking?
We do have a lot of interesting research, again, in AI and similar spaces of emerging technologies going on a constant basis, but not a lot of that is translated into innovations.
Experts list the weak transfer of knowledge from research institutions to the business sector as one of the main reasons behind Poland's underwhelming performance.
It's much more difficult to come up with something really innovative, in terms of academic research discovery and commercializing it. We cannot commercialize our inventions. It's basically giving it away for free to people who are willing to put the money where the invention is.
This also ties into another challenge: insufficient funding for investment, both private and public. In 2024, government R&D spending stood at just €100 per inhabitant, more than 5 times less than in Germany and 3 times less than in France.
Less and less of that money was available to startups, and not many startups were created in Poland. If we want to revitalize that type of thinking, we should definitely have tracks for startups to apply for funding, also greater than just simple seed funding. Not so many investors that would be inclined to really invest bigger money into a project.
The bottom line, unless Poland makes innovation a priority, it risks falling behind not only advanced economies, but also emerging markets. For TVP World, Jan Kennedy.
And as we just saw in that report, innovation is crucial for the economy. It determines what kinds of goods and services we can create and what we can sell. It also tells us a lot about the quality and attractiveness of Poland's higher education. As the Polish economy becomes more mature and wage growth accelerates, policymakers will also need to be innovative to ensure that we're not left behind. And now joining me to discuss why Poland is lagging so far behind in innovation and what needs to be done to correct course is Chief Technology Officer at Molecular Worldwide, Lech C. Król.
Hello.
Hello, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Hello.
Now, we see Poland ranks near the bottom on this innovation scoreboard, moving forward just 1 place from 2020, from 24th place to 23rd now.
Hooray!
Yeah, hooray! So why is Poland performing so poorly in innovation?
I believe that we are divided into 2 parts. One is low-tech, making a lot of money and doing things as always have been done. And the innovative one, which tries to catch up, try to make billions of billions, and actually not getting traction. Because there's plenty of structural issues, how to actually create innovation, how to sell innovation, and how to find people who can deliver the value on the very risky situation. That's the biggest problem. Then I believe that this creates a perfect storm.
And the government's role in this, I mean, governments change, right? We have elections every couple of years, and many people have said that there's no coherent, really long-term strategy. Do you see this as a problem from the policy-making side, or should this be left to the free hand of the market?
But I don't think that it applies just to change of the government or the, let's say, left wing, right wing, whatever. Well, whoever is at the top at the moment, they are afraid about making risky choices. Yeah, because the other guys will tell them, oh, it was obvious that it will not work. Why did you put so much money into the project which was failure from the beginning? And that's why they are very risk averse, and they select things which looks great on the PowerPoint, but doesn't deliver. If you are talking about the real innovative, then you are talking about unknown. And you are talking about unknown. You are talking about the base which will not bring you a profit, which will bring you troubles. And you have to decide and you have to go. You have to put a lot of money to make people dream about achievements, to make people invent impossible. And how can you actually convince the government or the clerk in the office that it's worth to invest into something which is impossible to do? Yeah? Your pitch project is, oh, this is impossible to do. No one ever did it. That's why I need $1 million. What do you think will be the result?
Well, so what about private capital markets?
Then the low tech comes in play, because have a lot of opportunities, of investment opportunities, which brings money faster, which makes money faster, which is less risky, and which is good enough. In innovation, you have to have a certain ambitions. And when we are talking about making money, then some people are saying, okay, fine, whatever. I'm not going to invest into unknown.
Certainly. Now, some say that there is not enough money or the government can't allocate it correctly. Which would you say?
I would say that there's enough money, but they are not allocated. Because as I previously mentioned, you have to create the structure which allows to create the innovative projects. And you have to create a special scoring of this innovation projects, because usually when you are trying to score the results of the projects which are dedicated to make money or to deliver so-called measured results, then suddenly when you have innovations, it's very tricky how to put it together. And applying the tangible forms of, let's say, scoring this projects doesn't really work in the highly innovative stuff. Because you should allow people to dream. You should allow people to experiment. You should allow to make things which were not agreed, changing their, let's say, approaches, opinions, way of doing things. This is all wrong in terms of the budgets which we can get from a government or even from European Union. So you actually are not able to get the money in a proper way if you're really trying to approach it as a face value. Yeah? It's
and in innovation, you're going to make 10 investments, and maybe, if you're lucky, one of them might work.
If you make thousands of investments and one brings you profit, because the question is, what kind of innovation are we talking about? Because we may talk about incremental innovations. That's easier. But then returns are slower, that you have made to make something better, faster, or cheaper, yeah, in general form, and then apply it to the stuff. Then we are doing it. But if you are talking about something which is unicorn, which means $1 billion company, then you have 1 in 1,000. You have something which is unusual, and you actually can't predict. You have to assume. Look at this very huge invest funds in United States. You can hear the headlines. You can see the headlines. They lost. This is so many billions. Yes, and they knew. They knew that they will. Yeah, they assumed up front that they will lose 1999 times and win one, which gives them the whole return. It is impossible actually to do it on a government level, I believe, at least at the moment.
Right. So there needs to be private investors with skin in the game and that believe in the cause and are willing to take the risk.
Or the government have to have some kind of agreement with not government, yeah, that we both agree that the Poland needs innovation. So let's exclude our quarrels and fights from this, let's agree on principles and let's try to invest into innovation. At least there is one area when I think it's easier, it's education. Because our education is another reason why we do not ended up good on this report. Because again, our education is great, but not useful. You mentioned about the quality of Polish universities, but the point is about the usability of what people are learning there. Because most of people who really are achieving the greatest results out of universities have to unlearn the approaches the universities learn.
Okay, that's interesting. Well, let's go on to this. We have a graph here. We selected. Let's see. Here's the innovation indices for Poland's versus the EU average, with a score of 100 being the average. These are just 5 categories that we selected out of more than 30. So what we see is the share of the population in Poland with higher education degree, 129.3. Okay, we're doing well in that. We have fast internet access, 127.7. That is an attribute to the infrastructure that we have. So, okay, this looks good. But then when we look at where we're really underperforming, innovation impact on sales, really down 63.3, which means that it seems like the money that we're allocating on innovation, well, it's not producing the results that we want. The other issue is science publications in the top journals, scientific journals. I believe it's in the top 10%. We're only 49.6, which means far below the EU average. And share of foreign PhD students coming to Poland is just 12.4%. So I guess despite the high share of population that has a higher education degree and the low impact on sales that this is having, I think this points a lot towards the education system, the higher education system.
Higher? That's the question. Because, we are learning actually how to be creative, innovative, and actually being able to discover something from the kindergarten. And when you're looking at our education system, it's to mark the right box. In extended version, mark some of boxes. Yeah, that's advanced version. Yeah, and when have you seen in your life when you tried to create something innovative that you actually had a box to pick one? So the problem is that we are still in 19th century education, which was designed for the factory, to be precise on time and exactly repetitive in our tasks. Innovative is everything. It's anything but repetitiveness, anything but doing things the way it was done. So
you believe it starts, you think the whole entire education system is producing this poor result where we are?
We're in television, and I can't use the proper words, but I would say it's broken.
Mm-hmm. How can it be fixed?
Well, we first have to decide what is our goal of education. Is it reading of this book or reading of that book, or
memorization,
or memorizing this poem or whatever? Mm-hmm. Or is it to allow people actually to understand the world, being critical thinkers, being able to find the new ways, new paths, new solutions, fixing things on their own, being able to, for example, go through any obstacles. Yeah, not because often we stop when there's an obstacle. People stop. Usually in Poland they stop. Yeah, and when you have, let's say, innovative approach, then you have a challenge. You're trying to find another way. It's a great. Usually we are afraid and we don't want to fight with that. So I believe that our biggest problem with education is not the actually curriculum in the education, but actually agreement on what we should be teaching children. That's the biggest point. And I believe that this is completely wrong in terms, especially the AI, which at the moment turns the table upside down. So most of, or almost everything, what we learn at school, I'm not even mentioning universities, is useless.
Now, another very important piece of this, I think that the education is actually one of the keys here. I think you're right on that. But also R&D. If we look here in Poland, the R&D allocation is 5 times less than Germany, 3 times less than France. How can we boost this number so it positively impacts Poland's ability to be an innovator, to attract innovators?
Yeah, but, maybe there's one important question to that. Why is Germany bigger and better than Poland in terms of, let's say, GDP and general output in terms of the country, rather than what is the cause, what is the result? Let's say, yeah, we actually are not investing into research and development, and that's why we are looking like that. So the problem is that someone have to. This is like the Gordian knot. You cannot solve it. You have to cut it. And someone have to be brave enough to say, okay, let's create the tax relief or the program when you can get money for research and education, but really smart one. Yeah, because at the moment it is really, again, I mentioned about that previously, it's very difficult to get the money for the really good R&D programs because they are squeezed and format to expectations of administration, expectation of the measurable results, which can be applied immediately. And we are not trying to actually discover things in the areas which are the most profitable and which are not yet discovered, not defined. That's the point. And if you're looking, for example, at the AI, which makes the total change, at the moment on the market, everything is moving so fast that if you are trying to repeat things which it actually does, you are already late. You have to use it to create the things you haven't been doing. And this is very risky, and this is, again, very difficult to actually somehow squeeze into financial format or the fund format.
And I mean, again, this begs back to the question where we first started off. What is the government's role in this? How much should the government do? What should the government do? And how much of this needs to be, in the private initiative of people with capital or the willingness to achieve these certain goals in certain sectors?
I don't know. I'm not at the government, but the point is that first I believe that there should be then between parties, let's say, agreement, because otherwise it won't work. No way. There is no way, no chance for that. Maybe there's a solution for, let's say, making, I will give you $1, and if private equity give you another $1 or even 10 cents, you can have the money and take care about it. Because private money, people are very careful, what they do. They don't want to lose it. This is not, some money, this is my money, yeah? So maybe combination with this, because I cannot control it. I don't understand it. I don't know how to measure it, but maybe you don't know, but you're at least taking care and thinking about how your money is spent. So maybe this kind of approach would work, but, this is the government task actually to answer your question, being brutally honest.
Right. Well, now looking at the different sectors of the economy where innovation could be just around the corner or where Poles could make a big gain in innovation. And do you see any certain sectors that are really ripe for development?
Low investment in terms of the hardware, any kind of hardware, and the ones which are black swans, kind of. So IT, I would say, AI together. So in some places where there are a lot of contenders, or where there are no defined rules, and everybody agrees that there is no defined rules. Yeah, you have, let's say, 11 labs which suddenly popped up out of nowhere and is valued very highly. You have another company which created, I don't remember the name, but they created this pneumatical or hydraulic controlled robots. These are the things which popped up like out of nowhere. Yeah, and again, I believe that if we are looking at the sectors which are already taken, when many companies are involved and the Western investors are already in, then we have no chance. We should look for the ones which are not yet covered, the newly developed, newly created. But then again, it's very like, what are you talking to me? What is it? What's the idea? I don't understand what they're talking about. You have the inventor. Usually it's a crazy guy. his IQ is 170. When he's talking to me, I am like, you know, and I don't understand him. And I have to trust. And most people, but even though I'm the smartest one, you know, so you know he's just stupid, you know. And then there is a problem. So we have a problem of trust, and we have a problem of risk. So the government here may help say, okay, let's risk, and we'll pay for the failure. So coming back maybe to your question, maybe the biggest move for the government would be to say, I will pay for your failure, yeah, and help people to stand up again. But one condition, we have to learn on that, and another one should be done better. So maybe that's the solution.
Indeed, indeed. Just like business, not everyone is successful. In fact, most of them fail. Well, Lech C. Król, Chief Technology Officer at Molecular Worldwide, thank you so much for this conversation. Very much appreciated. Thank you. And that concludes the bottom line for today. I was your host, Don Arleth. We bring you the best of regional business from Monday to Friday at 5:10 CET on TVP World. In the meantime, for the latest regional business, follow us on X and tvpworld.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.